Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Bachelor Nation News. The Golden Bachelorette star, Joan Vassos, acknowledges many challenges with dating at her age. While she isn't going to give up her family, she understands some compromises need to happen. However, while discussing those negotiations, she reveals Golden Bachelor Gerry Turner and Theresa Nist's divorce wasn't just about location. Gerry Turner and Theresa Nist weren't meant to be. Although the Golden Bachelorette, Joan Vassos, has clearly said she isn't interested in moving away from her family, she is still open to dating someone from a distance. Undoubtedly, Joan learned from Gerry Turner and Theresa Nist's experience. Since they both have established families they are close to, they said that location became an issue. Sadly, after a speedy wedding, the couple divorced just 3 months later. But Joan is considering that issue when going through her journey to find love again. Joan Vassos understands she will need to compromise. After Joan Vassos' one-on-one date with Chalk Chapel, the issue of distance was brought up in an interview with Glamour. Since Joan lives in Maryland and Chalk lives in Kansas, if they continue to hit it off, then location is a big piece to the puzzle. When the subject came up, Joan said she had spent time thinking about the challenge of living and having a family in different states. She says, "You can't ask anybody to give up something that important. You have to compromise in other ways, which is making a bigger effort on each of your parts to see each other and maybe figure out another home where everybody comes to see each other sometimes." Previously, she has talked about meeting in the middle, by resolving to pick the most important events to attend with each other's families, but finding solace in the idea they will have time apart. Admittedly, Joan says that dating at her age is hard. During the interview, they joked about having an airline sponsorship to make the travel back and forth easier across the country. Undeniably, it seems like a perfect match for Bachelor Nation to partner with an airline and promote the ease of finding love away from home. Furthermore, the interviewer talks about how their locations were the big pitfall for Gerry Turner and Theresa Nist, who live in Indiana and New Jersey. Laughingly, Joan Vassos calls them out. She says, "I know, come on. What's the big deal? Get on Southwest Airlines." But she divulges, but there were bigger problems there. Joan alludes to Gerry and Theresa having unresolvable issues that didn't solely include the location problem that was stated. Although she didn't completely spill the tea, she gave enough information for Golden Bachelor fans to connect the dots, confirming there is more to their divorce than they vocalized. Undoubtedly, Joan understands that her relationship will require sacrifices with the time spent together with a new man. What do you think about Joan Vassos outing Gerry Turner and Theresa Nist having other issues on top of the distance? Are you enjoying this season of The Golden Bachelorette? Drop your comments below. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up for all the latest drama and updates from The Golden Bachelor and The Golden Bachelorette. Today, we're diving into Joan Vassos' candid conversation about the challenges of dating at her age, what compromises she's willing to make, and, get this, she dropped some major tea on Gerry Turner and Theresa Nist's divorce. You're not going to want to miss this, so let's get into it. Section 1. Joan Vassos and the challenges of dating later in life. Joan Vassos, one of the stars of The Golden Bachelorette, has been refreshingly open about the realities of dating later in life. And honestly, it's been eye-opening to hear her perspective. In a recent interview with Glamour, Joan talked about some of the very real struggles she faces, especially when it comes to balancing her love life with family obligations. She made it clear that she has no intention of leaving her family behind. Her roots are deep, and that's not going to change. But here's the thing. Joan knows that relationships require compromise. She said that she's open to dating someone who lives far away, which for anyone else might sound like a deal-breaker. But Joan, she's handling it with a surprising level of wisdom and grace. Section 2. Learning from Gerry Turner and Theresa Nist's relationship. So, if you're a fan of The Golden Bachelor, you probably remember Gerry Turner and Theresa Nist. Their whirlwind romance looked picture perfect, but it all came crashing down when they divorced after just 3 months of marriage. According to both Gerry and Theresa, the reason for their split was location. Gerry lives in Indiana and Theresa's in New Jersey. But according to Joan, there's more to the story. In her interview, Joan hinted that the issue wasn't just about geography. She said, and I quote, "There were bigger problems there." Now, she didn't spill all the details, but you could definitely tell that Joan knows something the rest of us don't. It makes you wonder, right? What other issues were Gerry and Theresa facing that led to such a quick breakup? Section 3. Joan's take on long-distance relationships. Despite what happened with Gerry and Theresa, Joan is still open to the idea of a long-distance relationship. Joan is currently dating Chuck Chappell, who lives in Kansas, while she's based in Maryland. She says she's been giving a lot of thought to how they would make it work if things got serious. Joan has said that she's not asking Chuck, or anyone else, to give up their life or family for her. She's been really realistic about the situation, saying that compromises need to be made on both sides. During her interview, she talked about meeting in the middle literally and figuratively. One idea she floated was having a second home where they could spend time together without giving up their lives in their respective states. Joan also shared a funny moment from the interview where they joked about needing an airline sponsorship. With all that back-and-forth travel between Maryland and Kansas, it's definitely something worth considering, right? Maybe Bachelor Nation should team up with Southwest Airlines to help these couples out. Section 4. The importance of compromise in relationships. One of the biggest takeaways from Joan's interview is that relationships, especially later in life, require compromise. She said that while it's not fair to ask someone to give up their family or roots, there are other ways to make things work. And that's something we can all learn from, no matter what stage of life we're in. Joan emphasized the importance of communication and making a concerted effort to spend time with one another, even if it's just for the most important events. She's already talked about finding solace in having time apart. This is a stark contrast to younger relationships, where distance can often be seen as a deal breaker. But for Joan, it's just another obstacle to work around. Let's circle back to what Joan said about Gerry and Theresa. In the interview, Joan was asked directly about their situation, and she didn't hold back. She joked about how they should have just hopped on a Southwest flight to make things easier, but she quickly turned serious, saying there were bigger issues at play. This has really made fans speculate about what those bigger issues could be. Could it be a difference in values, family dynamics, or maybe even something to do with how quickly they got married? We might never know the full story, but Joan's comments certainly suggest that the breakup wasn't as simple as just living in different states. Despite the challenges and sacrifices, Joan is still hopeful about finding love again. She's been really open about how dating at her age is tough, but she's not giving up. In her own words, you can't ask anybody to give up something that important. You have to compromise in other ways.